Motogarista Podcast Studio presents. Hello and welcome to my podcast called Doing Business, and we are in Montenegro in the city of Dubrava.
Yep.
In the tower, and this is Chris, the owner of the tower. Is that right?
Yep. Hey guys, Montenegro Tower is an old Ottoman, an actual old watchtower, and the building we're sitting in right now used to be the barracks for the soldiers around 400 years ago.
Wow.
So it's actually quite a significant ruin, not just like a normal living house from back then. I had the Turkish embassy here to confirm that actually, because it's always hard to get these facts confirmed unless it's somebody who already knows about what he's talking.
Well, if it's a historic heritage, how come you actually rented this place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was pretty lucky because officially in the cadastre, it's classified as a collapsed stone ruin.
Oh, right.
Even though the main tower just behind us is still 10 meters high. So it survived the 79 earthquake and it's not really collapsed. So if it would have not been classified as collapsed, then it would be under the protection of the municipality now. And it was totally under the radar, I guess, over the last 100 years or so.
Wow. So this place is full of history, guys. Feel free to come over, visit this place. It's really nice, really cozy. It has its own ambiance.
Fireplace, very important.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, for those of you still celebrating, winter holidays, best time to come. And the Christmas tree is going to wait for you until the end of January.
Yes. I'm going to follow the local tradition and remove it. I think it's the first weekend of February.
Yeah. So make sure you get there before it's gone. This podcast is about doing business, how to overcome all kinds of difficulties when doing business in the Balkans. So my question for you is, how come you actually ended up in Montenegro? Because you're not from this place.
No, I used to be a big traveler. I've been in Europe. I've been to all the countries and to Montenegro 3 times.
Right.
So I already kind of knew how nice it is and how underappreciated it is in general by the, let's say, world community.
Tourists.
Yeah, if I would ask, I have friends around the world, and if I would ask 100 of them, hey, about Montenegro, probably 80 of them would have to check where it is,
Yeah,
and that's still pretty that's rare that you still have places that are so beautiful like Montenegro. I think in terms of nature, it's paradise, I'm looking at the mountain, I look at the sea. Montenegro is packing everything in a very small area. The people are nice. And in terms of business, it's also good with taxes. I pay 9% tax for the income that I make here through the company. And that has pretty much 3 levels, 9%, 12. And if I should get to the highest tax bracket, that's at a 2 million euro profit per year.
Right.
Then it would be 15%. Then if you compare that to places like Germany, where you pay 50 instead of 15.
Yes.
It's very good in terms of
difference.
Yeah. So that's the main reasons for me to come. The beautiful country, the fact that it's a small country and still kind of relatively unknown compared to other places.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, why, in your opinion, is this place under everyone's radar?
Yeah, because you have Croatia, and Croatia has always been the spot to go. And for many people, if they want to go into this specific area, they just know more about Croatia and they probably feel like they have to go there. But Montenegro, I would say, is even prettier than Croatia. And it's also a relatively new country, so it has not been independent for that long.
Yep.
So, I think mainly the competition with Croatia was just a little bit too high, but it's slowly but surely getting out of the shadow. They just have to be a bit careful, in my opinion, not to overprice everything too much, because people also come here because it's a bit cheaper than Croatia. But I think that's not really the case in this day and age anymore. Everything became pretty expensive here as well, and it stays on that high level. Some products that are kind of locally produced, I guess, are still cheap. But if you get things like, Haribo, I'm a German, so I like my sweets, my Haribo stuff. That's it's 4 times more expensive than in Germany.
Mm.
Even inflation is going down again. The prices in the supermarket.
Yeah, the prices will go up.
Yeah, we need Lidl to come here for some proper competition.
I've been hoping for it.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it since forever.
So now we're in the bar.
Exactly. We're in the bar in the tower, and I'm drinking some beer. While I'm drinking, maybe Chris can tell us a little bit about the selection of beers and other things to have.
Yeah. Well, I actually have, of course, the Nikšićko, the local beer. I have some local craft beer, which I'm really happy that the people coming here are actually making use of, because they're a bit more expensive, but they support the local 2-man company pretty much instead of these big corporations, you know. And I have a lot of German beer. I was surprised how much German beer you can actually buy here in the, they call it Horeca, the wholesale for the bars and restaurants. They have 4 different kind of German beer actually, which I can just buy in the normal shop without importing them myself, because that would be very expensive. Yeah.
And you've got some selection of 0 alcohol drinks.
Yeah, we got 2 alcohol-free beer, 1 wheat beer and 1 lager, and then a cider that has no alcohol.
Yes, I've tried the cider. It's actually good.
Yeah, people really like it actually. It's the Mandarin one from Summersby.
And I was surprised to learn that these are actually quite popular in the bar.
Yeah. Like generally also these cocktails here, the Le Coq ones, it's kind of funny because I talked to the guy from the wholesale and he explained to me even the bars with the proper bartenders, they sell more of the bottled cocktails because they taste better than what the bartenders are mixing. I'm like, okay, that's not a good bartender. Yeah, and for me, because I'm not a trained bartender, at some point I will have somebody who can make really cool cocktails with the trees from my garden, especially pomegranate. I have a lot of pomegranate trees. So that will be the signature cocktail in the future.
Sure. But I see that you only have like a few snacks, but no kitchen. But in the future, hopefully, you're gonna be able to cook something. What kind of cuisine are you going to are you looking for?
So the kitchen is actually planned for the tower downstairs, and I'm planning to offer a little bit different stuff that you can usually get here, because one of the things in Montenegro is that often the food is quite repetitive.
Right.
But I want to pretty much provide worldwide cuisine, like Asian, German, maybe because I'm from Germany, maybe some Indian. There's so many amazing cuisines. I will have a very small menu, but with very high quality stuff on it. So you can choose between maybe 2 or 3 vegan options and then 4 or 5 meat options, and that will be it. But I also want to have some external people coming here that I would invite from around the world to hopefully have them stay here for a few weeks, and then I can announce to the people that come to the tower, hey, this week we're gonna have I don't know, Moroccan food, or replace us with any country you could imagine, but like the idea is to always have something fresh and cool and very authentic, like from somebody who's actually really good at doing it, and getting them here to Montenegro.
Right. Celebration of cultures.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is about, right? Fusion of different languages and cultures and cuisines.
Especially when the coworking kicks off, and maybe we have 40 people from all around the world. If Montenegro gets to that spot where it becomes a coworking destination, and we get people from, that Americans, Australians, people from Asia, and they end up here maybe in the end. Hopefully. And for them, it will be really good if they can get like some Japanese food or.
And that's when you're going to have your draft beer.
Yeah, when I have the kitchen and the infrastructure, then I will also switch to the draft beer, which will be actually here in this area. Right now I got the bottles, but it's also a temporary solution. I try to serve it in a nice glass, the beer, so people don't stand around with like a can.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like, what do you think, or what do Germans think of Nikšićko?
They actually really like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know some Russians who are like, Nikšićko is like the worst beer. Like it's.
Yeah, the Russians actually usually they would get maybe a Budweiser or the Krombacher from Germany.
Right.
Some of them, they also like Nikšićko. It's kind of down to personal taste. But I would say the Germans like it a bit more than the Russians in general, yeah.
Interesting. Wow. But how long have you been living in Montenegro?
Yeah, around 3 years. 3 years now.
So,
I'm personally happy that I'm here now, where I'm not surrounded by too many stressed people, because it will stress you as well if you're surrounded by a lot of stressed people.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I also have become much calmer here.
Mhm.
Like, I just
Yeah.
feel like the vibe of the country
Yeah.
kind of influences you in a good way. So you came over here 3 years ago, and was this the time when you came up with the idea of the tower? Like, I want my own. What is it? What would you call it?
Yeah, that's a good question. My original idea was to open a bed and breakfast, kind of like a small little villa somewhere with 2 or 3 rooms, cook for people in the morning, have a nice pool. Like a little, like compared to what I have now, it would be a bit smaller in scale.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea I could buy something like this, to be honest. Like, it was shown to me by some agents, and I was like, okay, I can buy this with my passport as a tourist tomorrow. And then for the next morning, we set up the notary appointment, and I bought the place. And I was like, okay, wait, now I have 2,500 square meters. I have a 400-year-old stone house. I need to do something cooler than just putting 3 rooms in here and have like 6 people enjoy it. It needs to be like, now I need to have a bar. And then I was thinking, hey, I could have people during the daytime. So I will also open a co-working space so people can come work in the daytime. And then in the evening, people come to drink. Now it's still kind of, that's like my general concept, but my problem is that I don't have proper parking secured. I'm just leasing the land, and apparently the person found a buyer for the land. So it's a little bit of a strange situation where I have all of this set up, but I don't know if the parking will still be around. Okay. So all the next steps, for instance, like getting a kitchen added,
right?
All of that, I kind of have to wait until I have I can securely plan with the parking, because without parking, I'm a little bit like 500 meters away from the main road, but I'm not right at the beach or so. So people have to actively come here with their car. Some people walk. They walk here for 30, 40 minutes, but if it's like a super heavy rain or 40 degrees heat, it's a bit uncomfortable. So it feels like we're a little bit in the middle of nowhere, but we're actually not that far away, which makes it actually like the perfect location. But yeah, hopefully I can figure that out. I have like a lot of different leads that will hopefully in the end ensure that the parking will stay where it is right now and expand that parking area. There's a lot of challenges, but I could overcome all of these challenges. But with this thing, it's just something that's a little bit out of my hand, because I don't have the money that is required to secure the land, let's say. So I'm kind of looking for some people that want to join in and buy the land maybe and put some wooden cabins. They could have their own land, their own company, their own business, renting out the cabins. They would pretty much, in the summer, they would be fully booked anyways, because the whole village is, in the summertime, fully booked. Oh. But even in the winter, I think in cooperation with the tower, and especially with the co-working, people could work here and then also stay here. And then maybe if they have the kitchen, they could eat here and then drink here.
Sure, yeah.
I've got my contact email in the video that we will link. So if there's someone out, I think it's a pretty good investment opportunity, especially it's kind of 2 different plots. One is privately owned, that's kind of directly next to me, but below that is a big land that's sold by the bank for just 30 euros per square meters. And it's like the normal price is 4 to 5 times higher than that normally in this area. And it's just that cheap because the bank sells it.
How much are we talking about? Like, how much of this block of land?
Well, if you would buy all the land, which would be in total like around 15,000 square meters, like a pretty big piece of land, it would be 450,000 for the land, then maybe another 50, 60,000 for like a bunch of small wooden cabins.
Okay.
Then you need to build storm walls, build a septic tank. I don't know how much you can negotiate the prices for the land, but like minimum, like for everything, that would be minimum 500,000. With that land, you had to have enough space for like 30 cabins,
But I think in the video that we talked about just now, you were a little bit concerned that some people would come over and actually start building, these high-rise buildings, these houses.
That's what these investors that are looking at it. They are just going from A to B. They look at land that they can buy cheaply. They will put a bunch of houses.
Right.
Then they sell them for a good profit, and then they move to the next location.
Yep.
So that would be the worst case because they will not really care about me. If it would be some private person, they would be like, oh, wow, there's like a place we could work together, make a little eco village instead of these big buildings, you know.
So the worst case scenario is that you would be blocked, they would block the view, you'll be blocked by all these buildings.
Yeah, well, from the tower, we would still have the view.
Yeah, but
because the tower is like 40 meters higher still.
Yeah.
But the problem is the parking. Yeah.
Yes.
If I don't get that municipality land, or if I can't lease that or part of it at least, then the problem would be that I don't have the parking anymore.
If you would like more information on the situation with the parking lot and everything, go check out the video.
Yeah, just yesterday I released the video.
Exactly.
We can link it here.
Absolutely.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly. Yeah.
To both of our channels.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a collaboration. No, honestly, it's going to be in the description down below. Well, if you had all this money, would you go for it?
Oh yes, sure.
Right.
Because you can do a lot of cool things. You could like produce honey. You could have a little farm. You can have a corner with chicken and a little pet zoo. Like with this land, there's so much opportunity that you could do all sorts of businesses with. You know, because it's just like 15,000 square meters. I consider that as like a pretty big piece of land. You know, there's always bigger lands, but
would you be doing this all alone? I mean, like, would you?
Oh, no. That's why, like now I'm doing like the bar and the coworking.
Yeah.
But as soon as I have my kitchen, for sure I need a chef, you know, and the accommodation, I also, like, I'm kind of on my limits. Now it's a bit more quiet, but when I do the construction stuff, I work like 20 hours a day. The whole accommodation part, I would like to do with somebody who can buy the land. He has his own kind of company, his own property, and he takes care of checking in, checking out, cleaning. He takes all the money. Like, I don't even want any of the money. I'm just happy if we kind of synergize by sending people to each other's place, pretty much. You know? Well,
since we started talking downstairs, we started talking about some parties, you know, that you like to do here, like some jam sessions and such.
Yep.
There was one party in summer that was really special. Yeah, because there was an inspection. Maybe you can tell
yes.
a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so what I was doing last year was I would, when people come to me and ask me, hey, can I make some pizza at your place? Can I make some crepe at your place? I was always very happy to give them the location, you know?
Right.
I had this guy, he's actually a Montenegrin guy, but he worked in Paris as a chef for like 10 or 15 years. And, you know, he had everything in order, you know? So I usually just tell him, you're very happy to do something here. It's just that I can't. I'm so busy handling the bar. You have to bring everything you need.
Yep.
You have to have everything you need to do this. You need to take all the leftovers back with you.
Yep.
And then you can leave me a tip in the end if you had a good business, you know?
That makes sense.
I don't tell them, hey, give me 200 euros and you can do it, you know? I just, especially in the beginning, it's more about building relationships.
Yeah, it's all about the community.
So it really added to the value of my place. And I was really like, wow, this is, hopefully next week somebody else will come. There's a lot of German groups that do their own sausages here. And one of them, they had like really good ones. And then they did the barbecue here, you know? And I had the same procedure. And apparently that's our assumption at least, or yeah, the inspection was here and also like a police raid. And at the same evening, they told me that probably it's one of their competitors because they didn't like that we had a full house here when we did it.
And they were losing money.
Yeah, and they were told by probably their account, I don't know by who, but somebody told them, hey, you can do like 3 test runs before you set up your company. And I thought they have everything. I didn't really ask people to show it. I just told them.
Trusted them.
Yeah, I trusted them. And the head of inspection told me, yeah, they were actually really aware of what I'm doing, but they never ever came here because they thought it's a cool thing that I'm doing and they wanted to leave me alone.
Right.
But then somebody reported the barbecue and told them, hey, they make their own sausages if you produce your own food, something you don't buy from the supermarket. So they made their own sausages. You need a special license, which they didn't have. And the person who reported it kind of said, hey, there is a risk of getting food poisoning at the tower. You should close the tower. And he did 4 reports with, hey, they don't use sanitary gloves for the barbecue.
Like, have you ever seen anyone serve food in sanitary gloves in Montenegro? Like,
yeah,
really?
But it is a rule. So the inspection they couldn't ignore that, they had to come. And I had to pay for that. Then they were kind of checking. It was 6 different departments. They checked everything. So in total it was like 10,000, reduced from like 25,000. In the end, they reduced their fees and stuff and removed some things. But they also need to charge me. Normally it's not enforced because normally maybe it's your cousin. Everybody knows each other. They drink a coffee. They give like some money and then it's good. But I don't have that luxury. And also I don't want to ever bribe anybody here. I want to have everything the legal way. Like from the very beginning, it was very important for me that I pay my taxes. I have my receipts. So whenever, like, I don't want to be afraid of inspection. I always want to be in a state where I can say, hey, yeah, come by. There's nothing you can find.
But do you think it's a bit unfair that the non-locals are at the disadvantageous situation?
I don't think well, of course, it's not fair per se, but it's something that I was aware of when I moved to a country like Montenegro.
Okay.
The corruption is on different levels when it comes to like maybe like some other businesses. So I'm like completely out of that area, but I know that Montenegro, it's all about having connections.
Yep. So you accepted the rules of the game, sort of play by these rules. And
I managed to pay. I had 2 options: sign that I pay it, sign that I don't pay it. If I wouldn't have paid it, they would have closed the business and it would go to court and it could take months or years. Right. So that would have been the end.
This place would be closed.
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to manage to get the money in time. I had an 24-hour deadline for the first rate and an 8-day deadline for the second rate. And the community here was amazing. Thank you so much for everybody. Like I had people buying beer for 50 euros. They just leave the rest here. I had emails coming from Germany from some lawyers. They asked me for my bank account to donate. And a good chunk of the fee, like I actually got back from donations. And everyone said like, hey, Chris, keep going, don't give up. And that motivated me even more, to be honest.
So it's like a sort of the center for the community, to come together. Is this the idea of the tower?
Yeah, actually, the community is already pretty big, actually. I think it's very unique for a few reasons, like the location is just very good with the views, also all the trees in front in that land. That's also why I want somebody who would care about it to get the lands, to keep the trees and keep the birds and the turtles around and not put like a little concrete village there. But also like, the kind of people that come here, it's a lot of expats. So the Germans meet other Germans, then there's a lot of Russians meeting other Russians. I have Russians playing guitar and singing with Ukrainians and hugging each other afterwards. It's a no smoking place here, which is different to all the local places. I play blues and jazz, and I want to also like have a lot of live music.
Like you play the guitar? Or?
I play the guitar and I sing, but like in the summertime when there's like 70 people, I'm just behind the bar. Like maybe from 10 p.m. when half of the people are home, then I can quickly play some songs. But in the summertime, sometimes we had like 5-6 musicians here, so they would kind of play and entertain everybody. I see that next week the sun is coming back, so I'm actually planning to do the first campfire outside again next Saturday. And some of my musician friends already told me they want to come. Yeah, probably every Saturday from now on. If it's raining, we'll play inside. If it's not raining, we'll go outside to the fireplace.
Okay. You said at the beginning of the interview, like it all boils down to the community.
Yeah.
That support you.
Yeah, and I actually was not aware that I have such a big community behind me already. A lot of people, they're not here all the time. Also, people that never been here, people that just watched it through my YouTube channel. Some people send me messages saying, hey, we always do like a watch party when you put up a new video. And we really try to come next year.
Nice.
And I had people coming here, they told me I'm only here because somebody told me about the tower and it was the highlight of their trip. So, people talk very nicely about my project and recommend it to their friends. So I was not aware that there's so many people that cared about it, and they're pretty overwhelming actually.
It's probably because you put community first and then like it's community first and then business.
Yeah, and for me also, like I do this out of passion and not out of money.
Yep.
Like that's also why I said no to any external investor who wanted to get into this business directly, because as soon as somebody comes in who just cares about money, it will not have the same atmosphere, and there will also be pressure, So I would rather do it as much as I can on my own. Like the accommodation part we talked about would be amazing if somebody else comes in with some fresh money and can just handle the accommodation. So I can focus on the bar and then the kitchen.
How is wintertime different from summertime?
Yeah, so in the summertime, people get out more. At the wintertime, 80% of the places are completely closed in Montenegro outside of the summer of the tourist season. I want to be open all year long because I think it's nice for especially also the expats to have a place to go to where even though I'm only open like Saturday and Sunday now, they know, I can go for a drink in the tower. Everything else is like kind of sleepy. Autumn is the best, then spring, then summer.
Right.
Because summer could be too hot and it's too crowded.
When it's 40 or 70 people here, I just can't imagine how you run this place because do you even hire anyone during the summer?
I can handle 70 is my max. We had an event with 100 people.
Whoa.
Like a special event where I worked with some other guy. And there I have like a bartender that I hired full-time for 2 months during the season. Yeah, for now, that worked pretty well. Of course, it's pretty tiring when it's kind of like, let's say in the autumn time, I work all day outside building some stone walls. Then I go to the bar, and then at 1 or 2 a.m., I go in the house and I have like 20 unanswered messages and emails. And lots of people want to do events. And now it's really chilled because I don't do any construction work right now, and it's also not busy in the bar. I only realized about 10% from my plans right now. So I still have a lot of things on my to-do list. And if it takes 10 years, then it takes 10 years,
Wow.
And if the business is going really well, and maybe in 2 years I have 50 people working during the day and 300 people coming in the evening, then the money will also come in, and then I can instantly reinvest it and do cool events, and maybe do something nice for the local community where I try to get like a good music act and do like a free event, free drinks, just to give something to the people that normally can't afford to see certain people live, So that would be how I would spend my money.
Yeah, especially in this neck of the woods. Like, let's be honest, like there isn't a lot of entertainment here, and people will just come, just to support the event.
Yeah,
that's great.
A lot of people that come here, they just want to meet me. They're like, normally you don't go to a bar and you're like, hey, who's the owner? I want to meet this guy. But here they hear, it's like over Christmas, I went home and I met up with some friends in Berlin, and one of my friends told me, Chris, you're famous. A friend of mine explained to me without knowing that she knows me. She's like, some people that told me there's like this German guy in Montenegro. He opened this bar and he has this old stone house. And she's like, hey, that's Chris. That's my friend. So, and she explained that to me. I was like, oh, okay.
Whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And maybe that inspection actually, give you this boost.
Yeah, I see it as a positive because, I heard stories where the inspection, because they have to fine a certain amount. It's like a requirement.
Yep.
I know somebody, he got inspected. They couldn't find anything. But then they said, oh, sorry, but you still have to pay. And
because that's something that...
They can't just say zero.
They can't just leave. Okay.
Yeah, they have to charge something. That's just the way it works. And last year, I think it was a record year for inspection. They made like 3 million euros.
Absolutely.
For such a small country.
I was talking with another entrepreneur, a restaurant owner in Budva, and he said, just throw them off track. Like, just give them something small because they are going to charge you for something, but it has to be something smaller.
They need a signature.
Exactly, yes.
And then they can go drink their coffee.
Yeah, you can't just come in and just say you're okay, everything's fine, and just leave. And tell me about the co-working space. Is it open now? Like, can I actually...
Generally, it's open. Right now, I don't have anybody working here, like even in the summertime, because I don't really actively advertise it yet.
Okay.
But some people, like if you Google co-working Montenegro, I'm already the first spot.
Nice.
But still, not a lot of people in general Google that, because Montenegro is still not a co-working destination. But once it becomes, I will be ready to welcome them. But I had probably 40 to 45 people last year, but it's more like on and off. Sometimes there's 3 people or 4 people, then for 2 weeks there's nobody. It really depends. One guy living around the corner, he had like a monthly pass. The other guys usually just, maybe they travel around and they just stay for a few days and then they travel to the next country. But I have 2 locations. I have actually 2 bars. So the small bar in my house can now be used as a complete like huge meeting room. If somebody needs like a kind of a private room, I have that as well. I have 2 separate redundant internet connections from 2 different providers. And like when it's nice outside, there's so much space outside as well to sit somewhere under a tree or so. I also kind of hope to attract the attention of either the municipality or maybe even on a higher level, because they have ambitions to become a co-working hub here, and they could use this as a example, saying, hey, look at this co-working space that we have here, and put it in the magazines or in their...
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's really nice.
I'm already on it, but it is a little bit challenging.
Well, let's hope it pays off.
I think it's good to have a vision. When I tell people my whole vision,
they don't believe
sometimes say, oh, you're crazy. But if you're not a bit crazy, you can't do something like this. You need to be a bit crazy. You need to have a vision. You need to have the balls to actually do it and not just talk about it. And also you need to have like connections, like luckily I don't have like the brother or cousin, but I have a lot of other very good connections here that will also help me a lot,
You did mention someone who helped you translate, helped you with the translation.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how difficult it is to actually start a business in a country where you don't understand the language all that much.
Yeah, it is a little bit challenging, let's say, but so far it worked out. Like often I just have to bring somebody with me, or I use Google Translate.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't speak English here, that's for sure a fact.
Even the inspectors?
Yeah. I think I'm the only German or only foreigner who runs a bar.
Right.
I know one guy, he runs a freediving school, and that's pretty much it. I don't really know too many. Then you have a lot of like Russians, especially, that open bars and restaurants, but it's mostly like a bunch of people coming together. All of them put like $500,000 in.
Oh, right.
Like they have like much more money in the back. And I want to learn the language as well. It's a little bit difficult to do it on top of everything else because I'm doing like 6 jobs at the same time, pretty much. And like I'm the bartender, I'm the manager, I built the stone wall here. Like I do a lot of construction work. I'm the social media person. I'm the event planner, the gardener,
everything.
The cleaning lady. If I would just have a house and I chill at the beach every day, probably I could speak the language a bit better.
Sure.
Yep. I'm trying my best, and I want to learn to become fluent at some point, but it will realistically take time. Yeah.
Do you imagine yourself retiring in a country like Montenegro?
Yeah, I'll stay here. And that's completely, even if, worst case scenario, I don't get the parking, I have to close the place, I will never sell this. I'm already getting offers, and I could get much more money out than I invested so far. But, it's more like a personal thing now. Like I'm married with this tower by now. And and if I need money, I could also I could work in my old job in London, then I would make a lot of money. I could just work from here, maybe once a month fly to London for some meetings.
Yep.
So I have that backup plan. But of course I will do everything I can to make this work. And all the money that I spent here, I can touch. It's all
it's on here.
It's all at least double, triple more valuable now than it was when I bought it. And it's a big place. I can have my own garden here, Should the world go completely crazy, I can be self-sufficient here as well.
Survive.
If you live in the city and then the supermarkets don't work anymore, then you have a problem, I'm super happy. Like I'm just taking all the challenges as they come, and I try to do everything as good as I can, and the rest will happen as it is supposed to happen,
Right. Maybe you believe in destiny. Okay, well, coming
that's the only thing I believe, actually. Good karma, you do good things and good things happen to you, and I'm not religious like in God
in the
like
traditional way.
But I believe in doing good, let's say. Be a good person.
Okay, ditto.
Yeah.
I think that marks the end of this podcast.
That's a good closing remark.
Absolutely. That could be better, right? I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much for coming over.
Absolutely. That's this fantastic place. It's
Like and
been
subscribe,
my first
don't
time.
forget.
Absolutely, yes. And I'll provide the link to Chris's channel, of course. So subscribe, comment, everything,
Thank you
hit
so
the
much
bell
for
button,
coming.
etc. Make sure you come over, enjoy the atmosphere, talk with the people. We're going to join the people downstairs.
Yeah, we sent it to the fireplace where it's nice and warm.
It's so nice. All right. Well,
All right.
this has been Doing Business, or what's the Russian name for my podcast? I forgot. It's the beer talking to me, like,
Yeah.
по делам. Right.
He's a bit drunk.
Yeah. This has been Chris. I'm Birkin, as usual. Like, subscribe.
Have a good night.
See you. Absolutely.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. The studio thanks Mike Wynowski, Sergan, and Pavel Shalagin.